Alright. Hi everyone. Sailor Moon. Sailor Mini Moon here. And today we're going to talk about this other. Today we're going to talk about, you know, the hate that, or the hate that Renaissance Atlantic Sailor Moon got. Now, you might ask yourself and say, hey, how could Renaissance Atlantic Sailor Moon get any hate since it didn't show up until earlier and didn't show up until last month? Well, over the years before Frank Wan, the former owner of Renaissance Atlantic Entertainment, or New Birth West, I guess East Sea, or Great, West Sea, Glee lit it out for everybody to see. There were folks that would give their thoughts on it only from the written words, what was only the writing of it, and some of the likenesses that you could seek on the interweb. So a lot of folks could only talk about it from that. When it did come out, when the first following and the only following of the show came out, at first it was met with a half like, half hate. Some folks liked it because they never seen it before, and other folks hated it because it wasn't matching up to what they believed Sailor Moon would be. Well, keep in mind, these folks that didn't like the Renaissance Atlantic one were the ones that were always bitching and ranting about the Deacon Cloverway one. Yes, there were a lot of big shifts that were done to the show. Like with names. First off, the names that Deacon Cloverway would have given us were not the names that Renaissance Atlantic gave us. Two, the only live drawings worked, the live drawing side of it when we shapeshifted, and when we weren't, it was all a live show. Yeah, it's true, Luna was a white cat instead of being blue or black. Yes, Tuxedo Mask was in it, but he did not have his hat. And I'll tell you why, because in the books, he doesn't have the hat. And then yes, the rose was white instead of red, so we'll talk about that. And Queen Beryl did have a starship, And yes, Queen Serenity was shifted around from the way she was in the other Sailor Moon. And in Sailor Moon, she was just called Sailor Moon, not Queenling Serena or Queenling Serenity. Any one of the names that would have been chosen. My name would have been Victoria in that world, and not Serena. Once again, another Latin borrowed name. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if the show would have kept on going, there would have been, they would have to have offshooted other things from all the 5 followings, or at least how far they would have gotten to do it for. And Sailor Moon would have had 5 followings, so who knows how many Renaissance Atlantic and Toonmakers would have had to work with to make. But would Renaissance Atlantic and Toonmakers Sailor Moon get any hate from anyone? Well, that's hard to say because the first and only following didn't come out until last year. So I don't know if it would have gotten hate or not. What do you think? Oh, Sailor Moon, I think if that Sailor Moon, Renaissance Atlantic Sailor Moon, as we'll call it, because that was a business that did have ownership over that Sailor Moon. They did hire Toonmakers to make it for them. They did get a deal from Toei and Naiko Takiguchi, but they made so many shifts to the show that it's now owned by Renaissance Atlantic, not owned by Toei in any way. And I don't know if it would have gotten any hate or not. My guess it would have gotten hate. There would have been folks out there that would have hated it. There would have been folks who would have liked it, so I think it would have been fair. It would have gotten some hate. But if that's Sailor Moon, if we call it Renaissance Atlantic or New Birth Sea, or Great Sea or West Sea, Glee's Sailor Moon would have been the one. then there would have been no need for Toei to get deals with Deke or Cloverway for any Sailor Moon, because there would have been Sailor Moon. Yes, it would have not been the Sailor Moon that everyone kept hearing about over the years but never saw, but there would have been Sailor Moon. It would have been like, there's Overteam and there's Might Keepers. So that's what it would have been. It would have been, here, you got Sailor Moon, you don't need this Sailor Moon then. So I don't know if they were to get, I don't know. Some folks would love it, some folks would hate it, I think. But I don't know if it would have been as bad as the hate that Deacon Cloverway Sailor Moon gets from followers to this day. And the only grounds to why Renaissance Atlantic and Toonmakers couldn't keep doing it was because it was going to worth, it was too much for Toei, Renaissance Atlantic, and Toonmakers to do a half live work and half live drawing show. Because that's what it would have been. It would have been live show, and then when they shape shift, it would have been a drawing show or a live drawing show. So at the end of the day, it would have been worth a lot more. It would have worth too much. So that's why Toei ended up giving a deal to Deke and Cloverway to work to do Sailor Moon. And if you're wondering about who owns the Deke Sailor Moon, that's owned by DMX Media or DMX News, which now owns Deke, since Cookie Jar sold that over to them years ago. As far as who owns the Cloverway Sailor Moon, your guess is good as mine. If it's owned by Cloverway or Toei, I don't know. You're right, Sailor Mini Moon. At the end of the day, I don't know if Renaissance Atlantic Sailor Moon would have gotten any hate from the Sailor Moon followership or not. My guess would have been that just like the Deke and later on Cloverway Sailor Moon, there would have been folks that would have gotten on the interweb, either at the book house, learn, some of them who were lucky enough to afford their own reckoner back then, would have learned, oh, this is where the Renaissance Atlantic, this is where Toonmakers made their thing from, and they would have still gotten angry and scathed that Sailor Moon, so we would have been bitching and ranting about that Sailor Moon instead of the other Sailor Moon. So yeah, I do think at the end of the day, some of the Sailor Moon followership would have gotten that love and hate kinship with Renaissance Atlantic Sailor Moon the same way they have with Deke and Cloverway Sailor Moon. One little thoughts about it is that I did like it. It was cool to see that other Sailor Moon that no one had ever seen until last month. I mean, it was one thing to hear folks talk about it, to see some drawings from it, to see a sheet from it, but it was a whole nother thing to have watched it itself. And yes, Tuxedo Max already gave his thoughts on this one, so if you want to go back and look at that, you can. Anyway, it is what it is. That's all the time we got here. Can I end the film? Why not? Well, if you like this film, follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the last film we made yesterday over here with Sailor Moon and Sailor Venus. I, Sailor Mini Moon, and I hope you like this film. Hey, you left me out. Well, then you say your line then. Alright, I'm Sailor Moon and I'll see you later. Bye.